Episode 5/1. So sorry it's been so long between episodes, but I've been waiting for a new web camera to finally turn up, which it finally has. Episode 5 will be broken up into several parts because there is just too much content. I don't want to put too much into the one video. So this is part of several more pieces around the same subject. In episode 4, we talked about the journeys we might already be on and if we wanted to stay on those journeys or not. Is it the right time to end a journey that we're already on and start a new one? If you think the time is right, then please do continue watching. But if you don't, then really there isn't much point in carrying on at this stage. You need to decide if it's the right time to start this new journey or not. And if not, then please come back when you're ready to. For a new journey to be a successful one that aims to be a better version of yourself, you need to be ready and willing to give it your best shot. There's there's not really any point in going on if you're not ready to do that. So it's better to wait until you're in a better space to begin. I talked about an analogy of climbing up a mountain in relation to this journey, and I will now go into more detail around this. Um, it's not climbing a mountain that needs a whole lot of mountain climbing gear. It's more of a walkable mountain that I know is achievable. Because like hiking mountains is something that I love to do, and so I thought I'd try and relate this back to a life journey. So with a journey up a mountain, the goal for me is to get to the top and see an amazing view, which I find exhilarating, and it fills up my happy juice tanks to the brim. It's not all about reaching the summit either, because a big part of the experience is the actual journey itself. For me, simply being in nature and absorbing all this clean, fresh air and the energy this creates lifts my mood, and it makes me feel good subconsciously without me really doing anything. The act of just being in an environment free of mental distractions that are weighing me down in modern life is actually quite a big part of it. I am prepared. I've got my hiking shoes, I've got my water, my snacks, sunblock applied, and warm clothes should the weather turn. But so far, it looks like a really good day for a climb. So let's go. I take my first few steps in this picture here, excited about what lies ahead, but also feeling a little bit anxious as to what I may find along the journey, which I'm sure is a normal part of any new adventure. It's quite steep, and I make sure I take lots of breaks and drink lots of water and admire the already breathtaking views as I start the ascent. I give myself lots of mini breaks and acknowledging what I've achieved so far. And it's important to do this and recognize what you've done so far. This can be related back to your new life journey that you're starting. Rather than steaming on ahead without looking back, we need to take time to pause and reflect and take in the sights and be mindful of how far we've come already. Be proud of what you've achieved. I get part way up and rest for a moment off the beaten track for a while. This picture here, looks like pretty thick, like a jungle. So looking at this picture, we can relate this jungle back to our lives and see the clutter and the busyness of our lives in this dense foliage of trees and plants in front of us. I often think of this when I'm sitting here and how I can remove some of this clutter and take out the bits I don't really need, that aren't really helping me, that aren't actually important or helpful. It's sometimes quite hard to do this until you detach from normal life. Like the saying, you can't see the wood for the trees, focusing too much on the minor details rather than seeing the bigger picture. When I continue my journey, I am confronted with two paths that lead back to the main trail. The one I just came along, and I see a path to the right. The path I came from is easy because I know it, but the other path looks hard and challenging because I don't know it. I could easily just walk back along the same path, or I could explore the new path that I don't know much about yet. With a bit of trepidation, I decide on the new path to the right and find it difficult to begin with, but once I start, it actually is a much more direct and far quicker route than the other path. And furthermore, this is now a path I will recognize in the future, and it has now become known to me. What I'm getting at is that if you want something different out of your life, then sometimes you might need to try a different path if you want to get the goals you're after. It's often much easier to choose paths that we already know because we are comfortable with these paths rather than risking something that isn't known to us. Even though we might not like the journey that we're on at the moment, we might stay on it because we know it, we are familiar with it, and it's easier just to keep things the way they are until we're strong enough to embrace the risks of change. Sometimes this path ahead may seem too steep, and we simply must backtrack or move around the side until we can continue up our upward mountain journey. We can't just scale up the side of a vertical cliff. Well, not unless we have a jetpack, perhaps. But do we have a jetpack? No. So then we need to find another way around, which could be backtracking or going back down and around the steep cliff to continue back up again. You see what I'm doing here? The mountain hike is a metaphor for life. And when you come across a challenge in life that seems insurmountable, rather than trying to rush up and tackle it head on, perhaps there is a better way to handle this. Maybe you can go around the side or find someone to help you discover a new way, or use the jetpack if you've got the means. Regardless of the method, the point here is that you need to look at a solution and find a way rather than just giving up and still have that cliff looming over you, blocking your path. This is probably enough for now, but we will continue our ascent up the mountain in the next episode and travel a bit more along this new journey. Thanks for watching.